Wow, okay. This is a long time coming because I've been putting this video off for a long time. But because this incident has impacted me in such a big way that it almost put off my entire year, I would like to take this opportunity to share this with you guys because it's such a common injury. So as most of you guys know, I injured my ACL and did an ACL surgery last year. And I feel like because it's such a common injury, I'm going to share this video with you so that if you are undergoing an ACL surgery or if you have gone through or are going through this now, maybe my experience will provide you with some insight on what to expect. Also, such injuries are quite common whether or not you travel or not, and that is why I still feel like it's relevant to share this with you guys. What is an ACL injury? It's a tear or sprain of the anterior cruciate ligament, which we call it ACL, one of the strong bands of tissues that cross in the middle of the knee that help connect your thigh bone, which is your femur, to the shin bone called your tibia. It helps to stabilize your knee joint. How do most people tear it? Some common sports include rock climbing, acro yoga, skiing, football, basketball, or even motorbike accidents. Personally, I first tore it when I went skiing for the first time in Japan. Again, no fault of others except mine. It was my first time I was led onto a hill or slope that was way more than I could handle, and I was going at a speed too fast that I didn't know how to brake. And so like you were taught to do that pizza thing, and because I was going too fast, I couldn't or didn't know how to brake. And so when I fell, my knees kind of like went outwards. So yeah, I popped both knees. The skis is supposed to dislodge from the boots, but for some reason it didn't. And so that's why my knee just twisted sideways as I fell. This happened in 2019 on New Year's Day. So it's an old injury, yes. You typically hear a loud pop or popping sensation in the knee, and then followed by severe pain and inability to continue activity. You also will get to see rapid swelling. It's because of the buildup of fluid and of course a loss in the range of motion. And then you get a feeling of instability or giving way with weight bearing sometimes. So these are the different symptoms to know that you might have gotten an ACL injury. So this is for all my travelers out there. What happens when you get injured abroad? How do you find the closest hospital? What are the procedures? What's the travel insurance that you need? I'm here to share some based on my personal experience. Firstly, when you first get injured overseas, I've had my fair share, trust me. You can check out my videos above about how I quit traveling, how I was super depressed, how I couldn't move anymore for the whole of last year because of an injury. But basically, the first thing you do when you get injured is to get help from a local because they know best. And when you first get injured, the first gut reaction is really to get help immediately. See an actual clinic or a hospital. Have everything documented, collect all your receipts. Depending on the insurance, you might be able to pay up front if you're covered instantly. For example, I was covered by Passport Card Nomads for a period of time, and for them, they provide you with credit card. So because you are covered with accidents overseas, you just have to tap with their card that they provide and you don't have to pay upfront. Most other insurances, you would have to pay upfront and then have it reimbursed to you once you've presented your receipts and such. It pays to also have your insurance 24-hour hotline handy. And of course, always inform your family and keep them up to date. Don't worry them. Personally, for me, back in 2019, I saw a Japanese doctor. Well, it was a bit complicated because none of them spoke English. I was in a small rural town skiing, so it was a bit complicated having to use Google Translate. But very thankfully, I had a Singapore insurance, so that was a really comprehensive coverage. With some back and forth, I had to provide some documents, had to have the doctor certify that I was unfit to travel and to be in Japan and had to be flown back immediately, I was able to get taxi coverage from Haksan all the way to the closest airport and be flown back on Singapore Airlines on business class. So when I came back to Singapore, I did my MRI. The doctors realized it was just a partial tear, so I decided that okay, maybe it's fine. I don't really want to do a surgery because I had an impending trip to Bhutan the following month. And for the most part, it never gave me any problems. Until the start of 2022, I was always active. I was always doing everything I wanted without any reservations. The knee never gave me any problems. But in the spring of 2022, I was bouldering one day and I was kind of just climbing and going for my next tile, and my knee kind of just hit a tile that was in the way, and I felt the same feeling come back, like the searing pain of my knee. I thought that okay, I must have done something to my ACL. I know it got worse because I couldn't run without the pain anymore. As I was still traveling, then I went to see a Greece doctor. I was covered by passport card Nomads that time, so I was able to see and pay for the Greece doctor fees with full coverage. And the doctor confirmed that yeah, it's a full tear and I should not be running anymore. As with all doctors, they always suggest doing a surgery. But the real question was, should I do it or not? I was asking around people who had or have had suffered from an ACL injury before, and I was surprised that it was actually more common than I thought. Whether it's from doing acro yoga or from getting into a motorbike accident, I've spoken to these people who have not done a surgery and seem to be doing fine. So I thought that with some physical therapy, with massage therapists, I've seen physiotherapists in Bali, in Bansko. ACL treatments usually include rest and rehabilitation exercises to regain strength and stability. So I thought regaining my strength would actually help and allow me to bypass surgery. With most medical doctors and physiotherapists, the Western medicine would always suggest having a surgery to replace the torn ligament, followed by rehabilitation. So I tried that for a while. Why I decided to take a surgery was because it still presented limitations to me. I wasn't able to run without feeling pain, that's one. I still had to always have half a mind worrying about the knee whenever I did more agile sports like tennis or play paddle. So I didn't want to risk like worsening it. But the final straw was because I fell into a hole when I was walking on the streets of Canggu, Bali. And so because of that, I had to go see an orthopedic anyway. I had to go take an MRI for that knee. Thankfully, it was a different knee. I don't know if it was a blessing or disguise, but I take it that it's the universe's way of telling me to come back to Singapore to get it properly checked by a professional doctor. And since I had to get an MRI done, well, I couldn't escape it. Eventually, I did my surgery in the summer of 2023. Thanks to my personal accident insurance, I was able to claim most of the charges, but the amounts concluded to about, this is in Singapore dollars by the way, about $40,000 inpatient fee and $10,000 outpatient fee, which includes doctor visits, purchasing my crutches, purchasing my knee brace, going to regular physiotherapy sessions. What happens during the surgery is they actually take a graft from my hamstring, the back of your knee, to kind of sew back the broken ligament. The whole surgery is usually done in a couple of hours, 1 to 3 hours, depending on the complexity. For mine, it took like a half-day surgery because I also had a meniscus tear. So they spend most of the time trying to remove the dead parts of the meniscus and then trying to repair the rest of whatever could be repaired. Oh, I actually still have the pictures from the camera, the video or the camera of my wound. Well, I don't think you can really tell what they are, but basically these are snapshots of how the surgery, like the snapshots taken when I did my surgery, which is insane, like how everything was captured. Anyway, as far as I remember, this was my first time totally knocked out and I had like the best sleep ever. But when I woke up, I surprisingly didn't feel any pain in my wound. It was just an intense tightness and pain from my hamstring, and like unexpectedly, I had a full bladder and I couldn't really move, so that was a bit awkward because I had to sit on the bed, pen and pee. That was quite an experience. But yeah, the pain came from my hamstring, intense pain. I found my knee wrapped around with, of course, bandage, and then I had this cooler wrapped around my knee to cool down and prevent inflammation or swollen. But in week 1, it was a swollen, bruised leg. I had very limited mobility. I was almost bedridden all of the time. I couldn't bear weight and I had muscle atrophy basically. I lost my muscle very quickly. By the end of week 2, I was able to take my bandage off. I slowly could increase my range of motion with the knee. I slowly was able to bear weight, but it was still very tight in the hamstring. I like to chart my progress because it gives me a sense of accomplishment. So at the end of week 4, I was off crutches and I could bend my knee up to 95 degrees. So that was good progress. And by week 5, it was the first time I stepped on public transport again. Yes, I'm very lucky to be chauffeured around, and I could bend my knee up to 110 degrees. By week 6, I was off my braces completely. The braces help to stabilize the knee so that I wouldn't actually fall, and it also controls the range of motion. It allows you to go, it can be locked so you cannot bend, or it can go fully so it can be adjusted depending on the degree you lock it. So by week 6, I was off my braces and I could bend up to 130 degrees. Fast forward to week 11, I can start jogging. I was cleared by the physio to do that. 5-minute brisk walk, 1-minute jog. Again, this progress is very subjective and it depends on the severity of your ACL surgery and also how quickly you recover. I feel like having spoken to different people who have had the surgery, people progress differently. So yeah, treat this with just a pinch of salt. At 4 months, I decided to take the longest break away from physio. And honestly, I love my physio sessions because they just have a way to relieve the tightness of your muscles, and they know so much about your muscles that even yourself is unaware of. So anyway, at 4 months, I decided to take the longest break away from physio to Bali for 2 months. Technically, my physiotherapist said,
no sports until month 6.
But in 4.5 months, I slowly tested the strength of my leg, starting with CrossFit. Lol, I know of all things CrossFit, but it was actually my first time doing CrossFit as well. Now anyway, I eased away from that because I felt like it was pretty hard on the joints. I went towards things like high intensity workouts, HIIT, yoga and surfing. Little by little and very, very carefully. You have no idea the high that I got from going out on my first surf on New Year's Day. I felt like a bird uncaged. So at 5 months, I started jogging, and really that was the best feeling ever. For someone that has been doing long distance running since I can remember in my secondary school days, it's my way of releasing my emotions, de-stressing and being closer to nature. So that was a really, really great day for me. How it affects me today, I can now do an Asian squat. I can still see a difference in my strength. My quadriceps and my hamstrings are still weaker than my other knee. I still don't do any intense sports yet. I can do yoga. I can slowly be able to put full weight on the knee and kneel. It has been a great progress being able to resume most of my sports that I like to do, yoga, rock climbing and running, and of course surfing. So I am really pleased with the result, because today at 6 months I am still working on improving my strength. It is nice to see the progress, and I probably filmed this video to chart my progress as well, to see, it really helps me put things into perspective. We all take for granted that we can walk and we can run, but when such things happen, then it really puts things into perspective and makes you feel more grateful for what you have, like your limbs and movement. And so 2023 was a really humbling year for me. With that, I hope this video now provides you an insight on what to do when you get injured abroad, how to take precautions, but what to also do when injuries happen abroad. Also, I hope this gives you a better idea of what a whole ACL surgery, so that you are better prepared if, let's say, you have injured yourself. Yeah, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, it's one of my longest video to date. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you are going through an ACL injury, I can completely empathize. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.